You may not realize it, but we all talk to ourselves. We continuously carry on an inner dialogue in our head about how we view life, how we view people, how we view God, and even how we view ourselves. And the Bible cautions us to pay attention to the way we talk to ourselves. Because one of the reasons is that we usually don't tell ourselves the truth. For example, God told the Israelites, "You may say to yourself, 'My power and my strength have produced this wealth for me.' But remember the Lord your God, for he is the one who gives you the ability to produce the wealth." Perhaps the better question to ask yourself is not, do you talk to yourself, but how do you talk to yourself? Because sometimes the most destructive relationship we have is with our own self. This week during a coaching client, I heard snippets of my client's internal dialogue. She said, "I'm so fat, I can't stand myself." Another of my clients said, "I can't believe I did that, I must be an idiot." And on a personal note, I struggled with an inner voice that reminded me of my faults and failures, my shortcomings and sins in technicolor. And once I stopped beating myself up for having them, I started to feel anxious because I told myself by now I should be beyond all this negative self-talk. I should be stronger than that. I should be better than that. I should be further along than I am. And although I've learned to recognize and talk back to my destructive self-talk, sometimes it still gets the best of me. You see, sometimes often your biggest persecutors are not out there. They're in here and here. The Bible tells us how powerful words can be. It says reckless words pierce like a sword, and life and death are in the power of the tongue. And so listen to the way you talk to yourself. Is your typical self-talk laced with the 3 C's of condemnation, criticism, and contempt? For example, "Give up, don't try, you can't do anything right. No one really cares, you're so stupid or ugly or fat." Or, "I just made a fool out of myself, everyone's laughing at me. Who do I think I am? I'm a miserable mess of a human being." Or, "I can't do it, I'll just mess up, no one likes me, I'm not good enough." Sound familiar? If you want to get healthy and whole, you have to pay attention to what you say to yourself and begin to challenge it with the truth. And I don't simply mean replace negative self-talk with more positive words of affirmation, such as, "I'm so wonderful, I can do anything I set my mind to, I can do no wrong," or "I deserve to be respected, and I deserve to be loved and admired and appreciated," or "I deserve to be rich or successful." When you do this, the focus is still on you, whether it be in a fit of self-hatred or in a moment of self-adulation. While some introspection is necessary for healthy self-examination, many of us are endlessly thinking all about ourselves. We're either comparing ourselves, admiring ourselves, or scrutinizing and condemning ourselves. Regardless of whether we speak positively or negatively to ourselves, when we're wrapped up in ourselves, we've missed the gospel. It's not all about us. Jesus told us that the truth would set us free. But the promise is not only freedom from the lies of the enemy, but freedom from the constant focus on ourselves. You were made for something greater than a continual self-improvement project. 17th century mystic Francois Fenelon, one of my favorite authors, wisely warns us about this proclivity toward negative self-talk. He said, "Merely to see how wretched you are and to fall into despair over what you see is not being humble. On the contrary, to do that is to have a fit of pride that cannot consent to being brought low." And then he goes on to say, "Discouragement is not the fruit of humility, but of wounded pride." What does that mean in the terms of the way you talk to yourself? Well, take your eyes off yourself, and whether or not you're happy with yourself, put them on Jesus, where they belong. Read and familiarize yourself again with how Jesus handles the failures of Peter, or the sins of the woman at the well, or even the woman caught in adultery. You will only see yourself truthfully when you focus your eyes and your heart on God and not on yourself, or your sins and failures. And when you see Jesus, you can still see your sin, but the focus is not on that, but on the loving, forgiving, merciful grace of God. And this is the good news of the gospel that we're celebrating and are thankful for. God bless.